Hello, everyone. My name is Camellia. I am a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, also known as a PMHNP. I'm also a nursing and mental health enthusiast. And I'm getting on today. I know it's been a little bit since I did a video. The last video I did was a live. So I'm back today. And what I want to talk about is a highly sought after topic, particularly around this time, and that is the National Board Certification exam for a PMHNP. Okay, so I'm going to spend a little time talking through this with discussion around requirements, eligibility, and also we'll end with a few general tips. Okay, maybe you will have just graduated. If you have, congratulations. Now is about the time that most have graduated from their MSN programs. I can vividly remember that day for me back in May of 2017. And it felt great, felt very accomplished, but I knew I had to also accomplish something else, which was soon to come, which was the board certification exam. So many of you may be there, or you're planning for the exam in the near future. So just wanted to drop a few things here about the exam, okay? The first thing to know is that the PMHNP board certification exam is only offered through the ANCC, or the American Nurses Credentialing Center, okay? That's important to know. There are other nurse practitioner certification exams, such as an FNP, that you are able to be credentialed through more than one body, okay? So the only one available currently for the PMHNP certification is through the ANCC. Okay. Secondly, it's also important to know that the current version of the exam was revised back in 2019. I took the exam prior to that, and a few of the key differences, if you've graduated from 2020 and on, you are now taking the revised version of the exam. A few key differences is that the previous exam included 3 specific categories with percentages of questions from each category. The current exam includes 5 different categories. The other key difference is that the previous exam included 200 questions. The current exam includes 175 questions, 25 of which are actually pilot or test questions. So it's very important that you complete the full exam, because those test questions are not recognizable throughout the exam. Okay. Again, this was revised back in 2019. So those are a few key differences, but you can find that information on the ANCC's website. I'm also going to drop the link here below so that you guys have that to refer back to. Okay. Also, it's important to know that there are a few different things that you have to have in place for eligibility to be able to apply for the exam. All of that, again, can be found on the ANCC's website. But just to name those requirements, you have to be an RN, have an active license in your state. You also have to have completed an MSN program that is credentialed, and all of the different credentialing bodies for that specific requirement are listed on the ANCC's website. You have to have completed at least 500 clinical hours that have to be verified, that they were supervised. And you also have to have completed coursework, specifically including advanced pathophysiology, health assessment, and advanced psycho or pharmacology. Okay, there are a few different course content criteria that are also listed on the website that you can refer to as well. Most programs have met that criteria, or will have met that criteria by the time you graduate. The other important thing to know is you have to have had training in 2 different psychotherapeutic modalities. So be sure that you have completed those as well. I would say to sort of dial this back a little bit is to be sure that your program meets the criteria before you apply to the program, and be sure that you're not going to have any trouble or challenges with meeting the criteria. Again, this is specific to the ANCC, and it's the only way that you can be actually certified. So you want to be sure that you're completing the criteria necessary to be able to sit for what your actual goal is to become and be able to practice as a PMHNP. Okay. It's also important to know that in terms of cost, It's currently, if you are not a member of the ANCC, it's $395 for an initial certification. If you are an ANCC member or members of other organizations that are recognized by the ANCC, you may qualify for a discount. And those organizations are listed also on the website. Okay. Also, you may actually qualify to take the exam before you graduate. That is something you can do. I have a couple of peers that I completed my program with that actually took their exam before conferral of their degree. Okay, that's possible. You just have to be sure that you have the coursework verified in addition to clinical hours verified, and there is actually a validation of education form that you have to complete before you apply, okay, or during for the application. Secondly, you also have to have your official transcript. That's something else that you can expect. And then once you have everything in place, you apply. You get an approval, and basically that's like a ticket to take the exam. From there, you can schedule your exam. There's two different ways that you can currently take the exam. One is through a Prometric test center. That's usually a center that offers proctored exams in your city. And you go onto their website. You are able to go ahead and schedule your exam. There are specific things you have to have in place for that exam as well, based on the test center's criteria. So be sure that you're well informed there. And then the second way that you can take the test is through a live remote proctoring. I do know a couple of recent graduates that took the exam that way. Be sure that you know, again, the criteria that you have to meet for that as well. Okay, that was not something that was offered for me. I did have to go to the actual Prometric test center. The Prometric test center is also not specific to nurse practitioner exams. It's many exams that can be taken there. I also took my GRE through the same Prometric test center that I used for my board certification exam. Okay, a few tips that I would have to offer to you guys. So you've gone through all the criteria. You meet the eligibility criteria. You have applied. You've been able to schedule your test. I would say, if I could offer any tips around this particular part of the journey, is to go ahead and schedule your test as soon as you know when you want to take it. That allows you to have a firm date. It allows you to have something to work toward. It just seems to work better for most to go ahead and schedule the exam and to prepare for that specific date. Based on the Prometric Center criteria, you can reschedule. I think you have a limited number of times that you can do that. But be sure that you are definitely prepared and that you have a true study plan. I know for me, during my very last semester of my program, I was working as a nurse. I was also spending a lot of time completing clinical practicum hours. And so it felt like I had less time to actually study. So just be sure that you allot enough time to study for the exam, and go ahead and set your date so that you have something to aim for. Okay, just so you guys know, I graduated in May and I scheduled my exam for July. Okay, so I took about 8 weeks to finish studying or to continue studying, and did take the exam in July. Okay, what resources are available? Some of you may have that question. There are a few that are highly recommended by those that have actually traveled this journey already. The first is a website called pocketprep.com. I'm going to drop these resources here below, but that is a specific site that you can take and practice lots of questions, which I would recommend. Get very used to application of the information that you know. Get very used to taking lots of practice questions. And then the good thing about pocketprep.com is that you actually do have the rationales listed for the correct answers. Okay, so that gives you a good understanding and the opportunity to practice lots of questions. Okay, There are also a few review courses that you can look at that are highly recommended. I'm in no way affiliated with any of these courses. One is Fitzgerald, the other is Barkley and Associates. I did take the Barkley and Associates course at the very beginning of July. Found it very helpful for confirmation, validation, but also identifying some weaknesses. For me, my weakness was the therapeutic modality, so I had to spend a fair amount of time there. But with that review course, it also offered additional practice questions that I found very helpful. And I did refer back to that manual quite a bit once I started practicing as well, so it was very relevant, very evidence-based information available on the site. And also with the actual course. You can also take a live course, or you can take a course by a virtual course. I believe both programs actually offer the option to do one, either the in-person or virtual. Okay, so that may work for some of you. And I really enjoyed the Barkley and Associates. I'm actually planning to do another sort of refresher course through them as well, because I did really, really like it, and it really helped to prepare me well. Okay. Another good resource potentially is, this is the 4th edition, but it's a review and resource manual that I found very helpful. You can find this on Amazon. I'll drop the link below. Still refer back to it. And what I found helpful with this is sort of some of the categorization charts and things like that that you can really utilize, and that will be helpful for you along the way. Okay. Test questions are also provided in this manual, which again, I can't stress enough. Very important to get really a lot of practice with those questions. Okay. That's all I have for you guys today. Again, go ahead and set the date. If I can't can offer any real advice around this, is go ahead and set your date. Have a good study plan. Refer to some of these resources if necessary. And I'll drop the link for those below. If any of you have actually taken the revised exam and would like to offer any insight, feedback, your experience, or anything, or any other tips that you'd like to offer, please feel free to comment below this video. Or if any of you have any questions for me, as always, please feel free to do that below this video or by any of the other contact means. And I'm hopeful that this video was helpful to someone, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.